Hello, and welcome to I Talk Real Talk. I am the host of the show, and my name is Leon Romari. Now, this podcast has actually been in the works for the last few months, and actually having it here, actually being in the room right here, right now, it's such an amazing feeling, honestly, and just going through the whole process of procrastinating, of working on it, of getting different ideas. It's so good when you have something in your head and you start to see it take shape and start seeing it develop. It's something that I hope that I can actually be able to teach people as my vision begins to grow and begins to manifest into something that's real and that can help a lot of people. Now, a bit about myself. I am Kenyan. Kenyan right here. I have lived in Kenya for 11 years. I'm a national. I'm a citizen there. I have lived in Scotland for a year and a half, and I now live in Ireland, and I've been here for the past 5 years. So if you could tell from the way that I talk and the way that I guess carry myself, you can sort of see that I have a bit of diversity in where I have lived. Now, I am currently in college. I recently started about 2 weeks ago. I'm studying business, and I have to say I'm enjoying how it's going so far. I've met absolutely amazing people, different types of people, like not only with ethnicity but just personalities. And as time goes on, I hope to bring some of these interesting people on this show, because I honestly believe there's always something that you can learn from somebody, no matter how much better they are than you, or how much less there's always something that you can learn from somebody. So what is this episode going to be about? Well, this episode is essentially going to be an introduction. Now, I don't want to take myself too quick because I understand that it takes time for you to actually get good at something. So I hope that you can bear with me here, because it's a lot of nerves. You're trying to think what to say. I'm telling you, it's a whole process, but I ask you to just bear with me. Now, what I want to talk about in this podcast is going to be about the goals of this podcast, how this podcast came to life, and what I hope to gain from it, like for my own personal reasons. Now, I'll begin with how this podcast actually began to start. And I'll give you a nice bit of history. So back in around 2020, 2021, if you follow me on Instagram at leon.wamari, I used to post a lot of fashion pictures whereby I'd find outfits in my closet and I'd try them, I'd mix and match, and I'd go out to places and just take photos of them and put them on my Instagram story. And as I started to consistently do that one thing that I liked, I started to see that a lot of people actually enjoyed seeing me dress like differently. Now, if you're to look at the fashion scene in Ireland, and I'll even tell you this, when I'm in Sligo, like in my uni, I'm always looking at people's outfits in the sense that how are they matching their things? What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? And I'll just be straight up honest, Sligo is lacking a lot of style. Like, I'll just say it straight up. There is different people that I've seen that, I really like that. Then others, it's like, come on, man, I know you can do better. But hey, if it makes you comfortable, it makes you comfortable. Anyway, so back when I was posting all these fashion pictures and everything, I also decided to do a bit of motivational stuff on the side. So on my Snapchat story, what I would do is, now I used to be so skinny, so I really want to start going to the gym and actually become much more better looking in terms of my physique, because when you work out, you feel good. It's just a simple formula for confidence. Anyway, so what I would do is I would post videos of me working out. I'd give my own opinion. And once again, as I started consistently doing this, people would actually be like, yo, can you help me with this? Hey, this, that. Because what I was doing was producing results, and people like to see results. And then they like to know, how did you get that result? So along with fashion and along with motivational stuff and working out videos, like exercise stuff, health and fitness stuff, a lot of people actually seem to enjoy that. And I started to think about this. Okay, this could actually become a brand. What I'm saying is, this podcast is sort of like a manifestation of what I did back then. I started doing this where people come to know me for that. And then I started to enjoy doing it. I found a sort of sense of meaning in it. I wouldn't say purpose, because purpose is a big thing and it's very hard to define purpose in one thing, because purpose can be very many different things. But essentially, this podcast came from what I would do back then. I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed taking photos. I enjoyed talking to people. I enjoyed helping out people. And you could essentially say that is carrying on to the next stage of my life, where I'm starting this podcast and I'm starting school at uni, and I can actually reach a much wider audience of people. So from me being known for taking photos and being, I guess, this sort of influencer, you could say. I don't really like to label myself as an influencer because, I don't know, I just feel like it's a kind of cringe word. But I could call myself an influencer. Now, if you're an influencer, you don't have to be very big. If you do something specific like a niche and you enjoy doing it and you get a bit of, a bit of engagement, you're an influencer. You may not be like top level influencer, but you're an influencer in some sort. So this podcast, the idea actually came to me back in May. And it will consistently show up in my head. And take in mind, this is when I had my exams in about 3-4 weeks, in about a month's time. And this idea kept on showing up in my head. It will not leave me alone. And now I want to just say out there that I am a religious person, in the sense that I believe in God. I put my faith in God. And if there's one thing you will come to find out about me, is that, like, the results will show themselves. I don't have to say anything. I just want you to know that every great thing that I do is not by my own efforts, but it is by the Lord's grace. So this idea, it would not leave me alone. I mean, I couldn't sleep. The podcast, like, you need to start this, write this down. And I heard this voice in my head telling me, like, this idea will not leave you until you write it down in detail. And I have proof that I will show you on the next episode, whereby I have a small black notebook whereby I noted every single thing that I wrote down. And that even leads into my next point, the power of planning. Once I got this idea, I was like, okay, I need to actually write this down. And it took me a couple of days because I had to mix and match between my studying and I had to mix and match between working out and everything. So I had to balance it. But I eventually started to write it down. I started to plan, and I planned it as best as I could to the best of my ability. And hey ho, it just left my head. And then time passes by and I'm just chilling, I'm studying, I'm trying to do my work and everything. And then I get even more ideas. And what I get is the vision of what this podcast can become. This podcast could actually become a community whereby it is so inclusive in the name, diverse, whereby I will have different groups of people, Asians, Americans, Africans, everything, whereby we discuss conversations or topics that not many people would know about, whereby we educate each other and you actually become more valuable as you grow in your wisdom and in your knowledge. And I started also getting this vision whereby this podcast can become something that people can heal from, where I can heal from, where I can talk about my problems just to get them out of my head. And hopefully by talking about my problems, somebody else would heal from this. And I absolutely just felt head high. Like, I felt like, okay, this is something that has purpose. I'm a person that loves to talk. I can literally walk up to any person right now and talk to them, right? And using that gift of mine, being able to talk to people, just being an overall respectable figure, that is something that I'm going to use to my advantage. And I'm going to use it to my advantage through this podcast. Now, I also want to say the importance of friends, whereby my group of friends, so I have like Shifra and they know themselves. I don't need to name them. They know themselves, and you will see them on here. But they help me so much in terms of defining this podcast goals and helping it gain vision and helping it take shape and mold itself into something that I never actually thought it could become. And if there's one thing that I want to tell you, if you have something that you feel is your purpose or something that you feel can help people, take it to people you trust or someone you know who would push you in the right way. Even if they tell you something you don't like, but it's the truth, I really, really want to just tell them, because they're the ones who will help you make your thing real. So my friends actually helped shape my podcast, and the last couple of months, it's been taking a while. I've been procrastinating a lot. I've really just made myself not do it. But hey ho, here I am. And if I'm being honest, if I delay this thing even longer, there's a lot of people that I'm going to disappoint, because I promised a few people like, yo, this thing is coming out very soon. And I want to be a person that delivers. I'm not a person that's just all talk, because there's moments where I feel like when I come and I start talking to people, I'll be honest here, I'll be hot, humble, open, and transparent. There's times when I think I've made this certain like image of myself whereby it's like I always get things done and everything, but then behind closed doors, I don't really do much. So I'm trying to also fight that part of myself whereby I actually want to be constantly doing things that I say. I want to be a constant deliverer, because that also says a lot about my character. I don't want to talk about anything on this podcast that I haven't actually practiced myself. And if I am lying, I will call myself out, because I'm not about dishonesty. So anyways, this episode, I don't want to keep it too long, because there's a lot of improvements that I need to work on. I mean, compared to the last episode that I posted, I was not making much eye contact with the camera. I was just literally just doing whatever I could, and it didn't come out as good. So hopefully this episode is an improvement of it. The goals of this podcast, what I hope to achieve is to create a community whereby it's so inclusive. It's going to be so diverse that not even Brazil could compare. And I mean, Brazil is so diverse. Where I am today is due to the foundations that I have built in my life. I have grown so much as a character in the last 2 years, in the sense that I have matured spiritually, I have grown so much physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I feel there's something of value that I can produce through this podcast. Right now, I'm just learning. I'm taking it slow. I'm taking it as best as I can. Obviously, I'm going to improve as I go on, and I'm going to show you're going to see me improve, absolutely. But I don't want to do too much just now. I just want to let time take its course and do whatever it will, in the sense that, I don't know, sometimes I feel like when I talk too much and then it's just like rambling. So what I will do here is I will let the next few episodes that will come out very, very soon do the talking. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you as I'm sat here right now, because I'm about honesty once again. It's so hard because I'm literally thinking, what do I say next? What do I do? How do I move forward? I know it's going to improve as time goes on, but it's much more difficult when you're on this side of the show than when you're actually the one listening and watching it. I mean, take for example, I'll watch interviews of people that I really respect and admire. And I'm like, how are you talking so confidently, so composed, so straightforward what you're saying? How are you keeping your head moving like that? That's honestly a skill I really want to learn, and I hope to improve through this podcast. But it's just crazy. I'm telling you, next time you're watching someone giving a speech, just admire their courage to actually go there and actually talk, because my goodness, it is some skill. But I'll give you a little snippet of what the next episode should be. Well, I plan to have at least another 3-4 people here, and what we're going to be talking about is going to be talking about a lot of interesting conversations, ones that you can get different points of views on, and ones that can actually teach you more than if it was just to be me speaking on my own. There's one last thing that I really want to place a great emphasis on, and that is you as a viewer, you as a person. I don't look at you as a viewer, I look at you as a person. I look at you as somebody who has something very important to offer, as someone who can teach me something, someone who I can learn from. You are most important as a viewer because it is actually your time that makes this podcast more valuable. It is your ideas that makes this podcast more valuable. It is you as a person, and you and other people, where we can create a community whereby we are inclusive, whereby we do not judge, whereby we do not push away anyone because of status or anything like that. No, we are all equal in this podcast. That's something I want to just put out there. Everything I do, I am doing it with the intent to learn. I'm doing it with the intent to hear back from you. And honestly, if there's any questions or there's anything you would like me to talk about, or if you would like to come on the show and there's something I feel that you have to offer, or you feel you have to offer, hit me up on my socials, leon.wamari on Instagram. I am Leon W on Snapchat and Leon.wamari on TikTok. Hit me up on any of those platforms, and honestly, I believe that both me and you can take this thing so much further than if I was to do this myself, because you cannot become successful on your own. You cannot become successful on your own. And this is going to be a very, very interesting learning journey, not only in my life, but in the people who come on as well. And I hope that the next year, I'm telling you, the next year, I want you to watch how I will grow. I want you to watch how I will change. And I want you to watch how much better I will become in the next year to come. I'm going to put that on my expensive shoes, all right? I'm going to put that on my expensive shoes. But I'm telling you, watch how I grow. And honestly, as you watch me, I hope that it can make you feel that there's hope, that there's something to actually do, that you can do anything if you put your time, effort, and invest literally money into it, okay? So that has been me. That has been your boy, Leon Wamari. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, this first episode. There's definitely a lot to work on, but hey, it's a part of the process. And I guess I will see you guys next time.